As we chug along on, we're turned it over to the rational now. We are joined by somebody who came up on my internet feed through an unnamed source. But somebody I thought was doing something really fantastic for a number of reasons and for a number of ways. And it caught my attention, and we just reached out, and here we are. Joined with Alexander Kennedy, who was born at the other end of the country, born in Halifax, and came to Vancouver and has been lived here for quite some time, and has had a lot of experience and work doing a number of different kinds of things. I would imagine a lot of different kinds of things, and lately has been doing stuff around mental health, working around mental health, is also planting trees, and recently was fighting fires. But what caught my attention was I saw a picture of him with a bicycle that had an illuminated box behind it on the bike rack, and with a slogan, "Stop bombing children," or "Free Gaza," and there was a Palestinian flag. And then I was tracking sort of what Alexander's been doing, and realized that he's been organizing some bike rides around town to raise awareness, as well as making a few other objects which are all illuminated. And when we get to this point in the season where it's all dark, that's a real treat. So thank you, Alexander Kennedy, for taking this time out and speaking with us.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. Delightful chatting with you. And thanks for that very kind introduction. It's actually "Stop Bombing Hospitals" is what it says on the sign.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good one. So very sad, but I thought it would be appropriate.
And so, what inspired you to decide that this would be a really good intervention?
Well, I actually have been politically active for quite some time. I have a very specific personality where I see myself going out and engaging with the public a lot, and I've made illuminated bike signs in solidarity with the housekeepers, Filipino housekeepers at hotels. I've made signs that are at anti-racist rallies that just say like "refugees welcome." One has some saucy language for the alt-right on another sign. And I've just been doing this a lot. I do a lot of creative stuff.
Awesome. And so now you've been creating these signs. You've got a few different ones. I noticed the one is it such that you can change the slogan on the rack that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, it's
it's built that way, right? It looks to me like it's built that way.
Yeah, I've hand cut out all the letters, but I plan to actually just buy a bunch of alphabet letters, and that way I can do exactly that. When I want to change it to something more topical, I can just quickly tape out the letters. And I actually want to show people how to do this. I have a TikTok account at Gauntlet, but I want to be very helpful to people. So I do hope to make just show people how to do it.
Yeah, and it sounds awesome. It's a fantastic activity. I mean, I'm sure that anybody can get into it because it looks like you're using materials which are also really readily available. I mean, folks can get a bit creative. You're giving them some ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't want to be the only person at a rally, especially this kind of rally with a light box sign. I definitely don't want it to make it just my thing. I want to disseminate this idea to other people, collaborate with other people, and other people have fantastic ideas of their own, which I don't even know about. So, I'm just trying to contribute in terms of I would love to maybe even make signs for other people who'd be down with that, and just so they're more visible at rallies.
How do folks contact you?
I have a TikTok, which is at Gauntlet. My Instagram is at Gauntlet as well. Okay. You can type in wearable tech laser nerd, and that way you can contact me, and I'd be delighted to help folks and to contribute. Yeah, I'm working with perhaps some Iranians because we're talking about Yalda, and they're talking about the watermelons because apparently they consume watermelons for the festival. I'm so sorry. I mean to say, no, watermelons is correct. Yeah, watermelons, and we want to make illuminated watermelon, paper lanterns in solidarity with Palestinians.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I saw that too, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic. And of course, Vancouver also has a tradition of lantern festivals and things like that. I think maybe one will be coming up soon if it's not axed for this year. But nonetheless, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, December the 21st at Granville Island, I believe, is the
right?
Is the festival. Yeah. I want to make so many watermelon lanterns to show solidarity with Palestine.
Yeah, I think that's just awesome. And what were the materials that would be used for making the watermelon lantern?
Yeah. So my first one was an experiment. I used chicken wire, and then I just got transparent, translucent material like film, kind of plasticky material, and I just tape that over. It's a very sloppy tape job. And then I got a bunch of flashlights inside, and to diffuse the lights, I also used that plasticky stuffing that you put in pillows, and it diffuses the lights, and it does a really good job.
Oh, like the batting.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the padding for pillows.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, and so beyond making these kinds of signs, illuminated signs, you've also been organizing bicycle rides, again in support of Palestine. Can you talk to us about that?
I'd be delighted. So the Instagram group, which I didn't even start, is called Van Bike for Palestine. You can find that on Facebook, and it's the number 4, not the word for. So Van Bike for Palestine. There's another organizer, but just for security reasons, I won't name that person. And that person is doing a great job. I think we're going to go on the weekends. We were meeting up at Science World, but you'll have to look at that Instagram account to see our next meeting and when that will be.
And how was the last one?
It was fantastic. We met, there was maybe 30 people, I don't even know, 50 people, but we streamed out, I think 10 folks had the big Palestinian flag, and so even with 5 folks who maybe had, if I mispronounce, the kufia, I'm sorry.
Yeah, kufia.
Yeah, so even, 4 folks were you look at them, they're obviously comrades, but you see between them is 5 between 5 people is a Palestinian flag. Then you see it, and it's so great. We went through Granville Island, and we see the people who don't maybe not see the rally with thousands of people. They see that small little bike ride. So I think even 20 people just going for a ride makes a real impact, and it was so fun, and it was so friendly.
No, I think you have a really valid point. I mean that's awesome, and in a way of just continually taking it out there. So. How long was the bike ride? Where did it snake through, and what were the kinds of reactions you were getting from the public?
Oh, it was really good. Mostly it was really good. We're riding. Sometimes you just people. You got to read their face. Sometimes they nod, sometimes they smile, sometimes they scowl. Mostly positive. A little thumbs up, a little cheer here, a little fist pump here. You just got to realize most people are not going to be yay, screaming out loud. Although you do get that, especially when you're going by vehicles and people honk their horn, it sets off a chain reaction, and it is really fun. But I'll also mention that, there are some people who are angry, so it was actually quite funny. We were riding down the seawall, we passed Granville Island, and someone says, screw you, jerks, he said worse language than that, and it was actually really funny because he was from a distance, and I just laughed because it's a 90s comedy movie, kind of angry guy from a balcony set kind of thing. And I take it on the chin, but that's the way it is. The ratio of positive to negative is maybe 10 positive to occasional person yelling at you, so that's just kind of how it is.
How long did you guys ride for?
So Science World, then we hit Granville Island, and then we were at We went close to Kitts Beach, and then we doubled back, went across the Broad Street Bridge, then we went to English Bay. So we were out for about an hour and a half,
right.
riding, and then we showed up at the rally, and just a great time. Yeah.
Okay. And so another thing that you had mentioned to me that you were putting together was you were compiling a Google spreadsheet to links to legitimate institutions and media sources to collect facts and evidence. So this is something that you are tracking and then compiling. It's like how are you going about putting this Google spreadsheet together? And then obviously where can listeners find this?
Sure. Yeah, I have a link to it on my TikTok. In fact, I make some videos just showing people about it. What I do is, and my TikTok is Gauntlet with an LIT, and I'll try to. Hopefully, you can find me there. Anyway, what I do is I listen to so many news stories on my social media, and it's a fire hose of news stories. The way that I can feel like I have some semblance of sanity is to copy the links and then go to my Google spreadsheet and then have a brief description of what the link leads to and put the link itself there. So, if it's a TikTok video that somebody's talking about, the UN has come out and condemned this and actually used the word genocide, I go, that's a very important link. I'll copy that link and I'll put in my Google spreadsheet. And it helps me avoid anxiety, because obviously this is a very traumatic thing. This is a very anxiety-inducing thing to just watch the news, and we feel we're obligated to watch the news, obviously. So I'm saying, let's talk to each other about ways that we can consume the news, collect the information, and sort of build up a collection of information and that actually can get us to be coherent and feel like we're making sense of the world.
How long have you been keeping this spreadsheet? Is this something new or something that you've been tracking for a bit? Tell us.
I'm a big fan of spreadsheets. This spreadsheet, since October, it has almost 300 links right now to basically, and I've broken them down in terms of the history of Palestine, because I want to make the case that Palestine was an actual place with an actual people and a culture. So I collect links for that. The history after the Nakba. I try to put history of how the UK formed it, how France formed it, and then I go after the events of October the 7th, and because that's just a fire hose of information. So I'm putting everything by the date, and yeah.
So Alexander, tell us about your community outreach or work. I mean, I guess the question I want to ask you is how are Palestinians that you are running into reacting to or responding to the stuff that you are doing? Were you connected with this community before October the 7th, or tell us a little bit about your interactions with the community as such?
Sure, yeah. I wasn't connected to the community. I simply, because I've done this before, I just went out with a big sign saying, free Palestine and stop this horrific act of, genocide. And because I had a huge sign, I felt really awkward and really weird, but that's what I do. I just go out there and do it. I had someone drive by, and his family was there, and he was calling me from his car and saying that I really appreciate it. He became my friend. His name is Asim, because I was riding, and he said, really appreciate that, but he had to drive on because we're in traffic.
Yep.
But I was on another bicycle ride, and he pulled over, and he said, hey, I'm the guy who said hello the other day.
Wow.
So we became friends, yeah. I had a UPS driver. I was riding my bike with a huge sign. A UPS driver comes by, and he's like, hey, can I... I'd like to say hi. So he pulled over, and he said hello to me, and this was one of those days where I feel very, very odd. I feel very cringy about being out on a bike. But he said, you almost made me cry just because of what's going on with his family. So I felt I felt very, very validated that it's silly. I feel very silly being out there on a bike, but the people of Palestine say they think that's a good way to go. So I'll continue doing that.
No, I think it's awesome. I mean, really, I think the initiatives that you're taking in terms of, taking it the step further. I mean, this is people can do this if their mindset is put that way. And what a rewarding experience for not only yourself but for the others, as you say, who are encouraging you, who are Palestinian, who are affected on this issue. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm really glad it's a way to contribute. I won't tell anybody else what to do, but I'll just say from my personal experience, being me, I think it's a good plan to just get out there and be as visible as possible.
Yeah, and so, but before I let you go, though, I mean, I would like you to say a few words to whoever is listening about how they can participate in different ways, or how they can organize themselves. I mean, what would you just say to people who, maybe haven't come out yet, but are thinking about coming out, or probably afraid of coming out, or what would you say? Or maybe you can share with us any conversations that you've had with folk on these issues as you've been engaging.
Totally. Well, I'll just say that I'm a 6'4", very big white guy, and I have my own, safety about being a large man. So take what I say with a huge grain of salt. I think that people, if they wear a sign, a symbol of solidarity, it is a conversation starter. That's a great way. So I believe the kafia is a good way to go out. I also think just having a flag. I literally have a flag that sticks out of my backpack, and people ask me about the Palestinian flag, and I have a good conversation with them. I would say to people, don't necessarily wait for the next rally if you feel you want to make a difference. Just go out there. Try your best to have conversations. I think art is a good conversation starter, and that's why I'm trying to make these illuminated watermelons. You can put watermelons on yourself, or put the Palestinian flag on yourself. Signs and symbols, I think, are really good. And I also just want to respect that people have their own safety concerns for their own position. So I just say, obviously have compassion for yourself where you're doing that.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you tied that together in that way. And you informed us about the safety issues, because as we know, as we saw we heard the news in the United States that 3 university students were killed because they were speaking Arabic and wearing kafia. And so folks who are marginalized, who are racialized, have a difficult time in situations like this, because on the one hand they do want to express themselves, on the other hand they have safety concerns. And so, Alexander, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, and really seriously, it's been awesome that you do this on your own. You do this kind of work, and you're just spreading so much joy and peace and love.
I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
Our pleasure. Okay, and so folks listening, please get a hold of Alexander Kennedy if you're in Vancouver, or even if you're not, it doesn't matter. Check out some of the work that they've been doing, and keep it going. We are going to now turn momentarily to the last segment that we have on for this evening, which is all about a series of pre-raid dawns, pre-dawn raids. I always say that the other way, pre-dawn raids conducted by the Toronto Police on a number of activists who had smeared some kind of washable paint and had made comments about the CEO of Indigo Chapters. We will be talking with Martin Lucas from The Breach on his article after about 5 minutes. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, check us out. We are at www.coopradio.org, 100.5 FM on your dial. And I think we have an AGM coming up soon. We also are open to suggestions for programming, and if you would like to join a collective or start a program, please get in touch. You can reach us through www.coopradio.org. Okay, stay tuned, and more programming will be coming up after 7 p.m.